Hello and welcome back to the game room. You know what I love? Video games. You know what I love talking about? Games. And it seems like a lot of people these days who cover games seem to hate them. Or at least the people who play them. Well, that's not me, and that's not the 4,465 of you beautiful people checking out this video here today. Another milestone, blew past 4,400. Almost to 4,500, almost on the back half to 5,000, like, unreal, guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you to the Nintendo Switch. We are pivoting back to the Xbox 360, though if you are a Switch fan, never fear. I have another one of those coming out next week, but we have teased the 40th episode of the Xbox 360 series, and we're finally getting to it today. We are covering some games that were donated to the channel, as well as some other ones that I picked up. And we are checking in on a game I mentioned a while back that seems to be hitting a huge meteoric rise right now. So I just want to get it in front of you guys again. So if that game looks interesting, you can pick it up. So if that sounds interesting to you, let's check it out. There's a lot of games out there, some of which you've never even heard of. That's where I come in. My name's Luke. I've been playing games since the age of 2, and I have no life.
This is my game room.
Alright, so the first game we're taking a look at today was donated to the channel by a very, very kind person who goes by Lone Wanderer, and he reached out to me after I did my Games I Missed the Boat on video, where I talked about how I hadn't had any of the Crash Time games, Audubon Polizzi, whatnot. And he messaged me and said, hey, I got a pristine copy of Crash Time. Would love to donate it to the channel. Thank you, my friend. This was one that, I know it's not super expensive, but it was one that it's hard to get up to go buy these type of racing games. And after playing this game, I gotta tell you, I am a fan of the series now. So I was a little on the fence about it because it's hard looking at these games online. It's hard to know what they're about. The way the Crash Time series works, at least the first one, is it is a mission-based racing game, but there is a through-line story throughout. So it reminds me a lot of the game Driver, because in Driver you're just driving the car. The only thing is they remove the free world aspect. So you are driving in what effectively is a free world. So the map, the races, everything you're doing are always on the same level. It's like a European countryside type thing. But each time you're out on the map, think more like Mario 64, where you're trying to get a star, and that star can be, tail a driver, or get to a certain area and go through these rings in a certain amount of time, or pull over a suspect in this amount of time, and so on and so forth. I didn't get super far in the game, but I did play more of it than I anticipated just because I was enjoying myself. So I gotta tell you, if you have looked at the Crash Time games and thought, what is it like? Kind of a mix. I don't know if it's necessarily Burnout-like, but there is the ability to knock cars out. It's not really a Grand Theft Auto type game, but you do have missions where you're tailing people. So it's kind of the perfect, I guess, mixture of a Grand Theft Auto world into a Burnout or a Ridge Racer type racing game, and then throw in a police storyline on top of it in Europe. And that's a very convoluted way to tell you the game's pretty cool, and I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye out for the second game if I can ever find it for a decent price. So thank you again, my friend, for the donation. Sorry it took so long for me to cover it. The Nintendo Switch was popping off, but yes, this game was one I very much appreciated, and I told you about it too when I was playing it. So yeah, it was a good one. Now, pivoting to the other angel of this channel, my boy Michael from Lake Oswego, Oregon, he donated a whole bunch of games, and one of the ones he donated was one that, if you'd asked me a year ago, this game was in the stratosphere, and now has really come crashing down hard. Mainly because they released a new game in the series after the, 11 years, I think? And that is NCAA Football 14. So, I famously am not a fan of college football. I went to a college that didn't have a football team. I grew up a 49ers fan. I love football. That is my sport of choice. I've just never been into the college game. I played Bill Walsh college football on the Genesis back in the day, but with the college football game, it's hard for me to get interested in it. I'd rather play a Madden game. I've heard this one is a very fun game, and overall the NCAA games are very enjoyable, which I can believe because I really did enjoy playing Bill Walsh football back on the Genesis. Popping this one in, it really, like, I haven't played a Madden in a decade, so I don't know how much of this is really just a Madden clone, but I did enjoy what I played. They give you the options when you're playing to choose your home team, so you can assign yourself. I picked Stanford just because that's a team I'm familiar with, because when Jim Harbaugh was a coach, I followed them. And so from there, you can then choose stadiums, choose this and that, though the players don't have names. So I'm guessing, I think they have names now, maybe because you're actually paying college football players, but back then they just had the numbers, and then you would have the coaches and all of that. And it gives you the option when you're playing to have the coach tell you what to do. You can pick what to do. You can do this. You can do that. Playing the game, though, I honestly can't tell you it feels any different than the Madden game, but I can tell you that it plays sufficient. Like, I enjoyed it. I felt that I was able to get in there and actually control the defenders and deflect passes, and conversely, when I was playing on offense, I was able to influence catches, which was always something playing Madden back in the day I always thought was a little, didn't really seem like you were doing all that much. Either the ball was coming in or the ball was not, other than, you know, going on the edge rusher and moving all the way out and sacking the quarterback or trying to sack the quarterback. But yeah, fun enough. Not something I'm going to put a terrible amount of time into. I really much prefer something like Backbreaker with the halfback mode. That's a lot more fun for me. But thank you again, Michael. That was great to have. I'm glad to play it. And we're just going to keep rolling with the Michael games because there's a lot of them. Next game we picked up and we're trying this week was a compilation game. Now, of the games on this compilation, I want to say I had one of them already on one of my other arcade collections, so I wasn't necessarily looking for this one, but, you know, he had a chance to snatch it. Like, yeah, obviously that's one I'd like to see, and that is Cubed. So Cubed has 3 games. It's another one of those arcade collections, and the games that are on this are Every Extend Extra Extreme, which is a very interesting pseudo-rhythm match game where you're dropping like Tetris-like blocks into this area. Or am I thinking of Luminous? That might be Luminous. Yeah, Luminous in that other one, because Luminous is the one where it comes through with a little band, and then as you get there's 2 different colors you can have. You can have one color or the other color. When you get 4 of the same kind, they make a giant ice cube, and then the little thing comes through and destroys it, and that can cause crazy combos, which was really cool. Yeah, the Every Extend one, honestly, I played it. I had no idea what the hell I was doing. I don't know how that game worked, because I felt like I was hitting buttons, stuff was happening, but what it was doing, I couldn't tell you. But Luminous, I believe I have talked trash on it or didn't say it was all that great back in the past. I stand corrected myself. That game is a lot of fun. And then the one that's probably the big get on this collection is Res HD. And I actually bought the Res game for the Oculus. So I got the VR version of it. And I enjoyed that. It is the game that was the predecessor to Child of Eden. So if you know Child of Eden, it's very surreal, colorful, all that. Res is just like that. A little bit more toned down, a little more wireframe, but overall is a really fun on-rail shooter. Think of it something like, Lone Runner, Maze Runner, something like that. I don't know. Some of the old games that I never played that have that third person where you're moving around and going into the camera. But a fun game and a fun collection, and one that is very expensive compared to what you have on it. I think it gets up there around $40, $50. So definitely one you should keep an eye out for, because I definitely enjoyed it. All right, now another one Michael sent because he sent a picture. I was like, hey, any of these look interesting? I'm like, well, that one looks interesting. And I regret it because this game is not good. But I don't see it too often. So it's a not good game, but you might be fooled into buying it because it's something you don't see all the time. At least, I mean, I've seen it, but I've never seen it all the time. And that is Bound by Flame. So this is an action RPG, I guess. I don't know. It felt and controlled so poorly that I lost all interest in it almost immediately. And when you have these skeletons spawn, and I played it on normal mode, and I go in there and I attack them, feels like no damage happens, there's no blowback, there's no pushback, there's no nothing. You can it's just, there's a crazy storyline going on and all this world building that's happening, and I just sometimes you guys it's hard to get invested, it's hard to get into it, and when the game just felt as like it looks like it has a lot of promise, don't get me wrong, and it might be one of those games where, you know, kind of like Iron Warrior, Iron Sword, Wizards and Warrior, that kind of thing, where if you had no choice and you invested a lot of time into it, it might be an actual gem. But when you have a plethora of games to go through, focusing on one like that, I would not recommend. I would much rather go and play Dark Messiah or Witcher 2 or anything else other than that game, because it really did not feel good and I did not like it. So that is one, Bound by Flame. It's like a $10 game. Save $10, don't pick it up. It is not worth it. Now, I'm a huge fan of Guitar Hero, and there are a few scattered Guitar Hero games that I never picked up, and this was another one that Michael sent, and that is Guitar Hero Van Halen. I'll be honest with you guys, I am not a huge music guy. I like video game music. I like instrumentals. I don't listen to lyrics. Everything I know about music was influenced by Beat Saber and Guitar Hero. And so I can't even really tell you much about Van Halen other than I know it's David Lee Roth, Eddie Van Halen. Am I even right on that? I don't know. But I put this one in, and it surprises me because I used to be a Guitar Hero expert player, and I play these games and I'll put it on expert mode, and I am so out of practice, so much so on my left hand, like the frets going back and forth. I am so out of practice that playing this game, you know, I can hit the notes for maybe 5-10 seconds, but doing it for 2-3 minutes, I have to tap out. And that happened with me with this. Now, this is a game that came out after Guitar Hero World Tour, so it has the ability to set a set list like World Tour does. And if you're not a fan of Van Halen only, there are other artists on this collection, which I was not expecting. I thought it would only be the one person, but obviously you can't just have one person as it, even though it's named after them. So there are other songs on it that I was interested in playing, so that was a very good thing for me to find out. And I gotta tell you, as someone who loves Guitar Hero World Tour, loves the ability to set a set list, this is one that I would recommend, and it's one of the more expensive Guitar Heroes now. I want to say it goes around $30 complete. I'm not sure why. It's not only on the 360. I believe I've seen this one on other systems, like the PS2 as well. But yeah, the ability to set that set the set list, that is such a cool thing because you can set 6 songs in a row and then play all 6 in a row. Instead of having to go back after you beat a song and pick a new song, go back and then go back, which really, it cuts so much, it adds so much drag to the game. It's one of the reasons I loved Ridge Racer 6 is because it did that, and it's one of the reasons why games that constantly kick you back out and back in and back out start to wear on you after a while with these systems that have load times. All right, I know we're going through this one a little quicker because we really have some obscurities, but the quality has just not been good. And this is one that I have been avoiding picking up at the game store. It's been there for so long, I think they increased the price by a couple of dollars. I have seen one of you guys reference this game in the comments maybe 5-6 weeks ago, even longer than that. But this game, Leisure Suit Larry, box office bust. This game is so wildly inappropriate, it's not even funny. It's also got a star-studded cast. Like, there is a lot of comedians doing voice acting in this. I've never played a Leisure Suit Larry game in my life. I know they are about very risque humor. Now, in this game, you do not play as the original Leisure Suit Larry. You are the original Leisure Suit Larry's nephew, who's a bigger loser somehow than the original. And there's, you know, inappropriate innuendos, foul, crude humor, that kind of thing. I mean, I believe the first mission you're going and cleaning graffiti, like penis graffiti off of walls, and just seeing like some of the posters, like very much suggest, like it's like Carmen Electra's in it. This is that, and it like it's got a good cast for what it's doing. But control-wise, gameplay-wise, it takes place in a Grand Theft Auto open world type thing, and instead of doing a GTA game, you're doing this game where you're going around and trying to get I think you're trying to get a movie made or trying to get producing credit or something like that, but you're starting as a lowly gopher and having to work yourself up. And I just lost interest after a while. Like, I had an idea of how it would play, but it just, controls were not great. When you fall down or going here and there, and then there's like golden dildos you're grabbing, trophy type thing, I think. It is so on the nose that it just wasn't, I don't know, control wise, graphic wise, game wise, just wasn't for me. So I can understand why people said it was bad, though. For the crude humor, especially here in 2025, to see that this was a commercially released game with this kind of humor in it, that is things that you probably would never imagine to see in a game nowadays, for that alone, it is kind of a fun oddity to see. But yeah, that's another one that I got for like $15. Probably too much for that piece of turd. But yeah, do it so you don't have to. All right, we got a couple more here from Michael. So this one right here, I have never played any of the Earth Defense Force games. I hear they are a lot of fun, and this was one of them that he found, and that's Earth Defense Force Insect Armageddon. So I think all of them are pretty affordable, like $10, $15 complete, something like that. And it more or less plays out like a Starship Troopers game, but it's on Earth instead of on some desert planet. And you are a infantryman that goes in there and destroys the bugs. And there's different loadouts you can use. And I believe it's a multiplayer type game too. I think it's 1 or 2 players, even co-op. And I think there's an online multiplayer aspect where you can have more people. And you're just doing, it's like Lost Planet, where you just have a mission, you're walking in an area, and then it sends you to the different parts of that mission in the area. So either blow up a building, or not a building, but like blow up, secure a building, and secure a landing port. If a plane crashes, make sure they're okay. Kill bugs all along the way. And then if the bugs have an emergence hole, blow that up. At a certain point, a boss bug came out, and you got to take that out. And I'm sure there's a whole bunch of lore and everything on this. But it's funny, it reminds me of like a Helldivers type situation. So you're not going off to this other planet, but it's very much that rah-rah Starship Troopers, killing big insects. I can see why some people would be really into it. I can also see how it gets really, really overblown and repetitive. And my complete feelings on it are it's fun. It's fun. I probably enjoyed it more than I enjoyed Lost Planet 2, but I thought Lost Planet 3 was a better game than Earth Defense Force Insect Armageddon. All right, moving on to the next one here. So this one is the last one that Michael sent for this video, and it's another one that I saw recommended as I'm always scouring these various YouTube channels, and this one is called Monster Jam Path of Destruction. So you're telling me I've never seen monster trucks, but I am a red-blooded American, and anytime you see monster trucks, they do look awesome. And seeing, like, I've never been there, but everyone knows Gravedigger. So starting this game off, and you're playing as Gravedigger. Yes. Now, after that initial coolness wears off, though, it is a very, very flawed game. It is not purely a racer. There are aspects where you're trying to do these tricks where you're jumping over things and you're doing monster truck type stuff. Wasn't a huge on that, because some of those got, like, back to the point I had with the Guitar Hero where you have a set list. In this game, it very much is. You'll play something, it might be 30 seconds, and you're back to the menu, then you're back in another minute, back to the menu, back in. Like, there aren't many races. When I finally got to like a 5-6 minute race, that's when I really enjoyed it. Now, I think you can control the different tires with the left and right thumbstick. I didn't quite get the hang of that, but just as far as dumb fun games go, and one that's not super expensive, I know that these surprisingly have gone up in price, but I think it's still under 20. One to take a look out for, because I enjoyed that game a lot, and starting the game off as Gravedigger was very cool. Not gonna lie, was very cool. All right, last couple ones we got here. So this was a recommendation from you guys in the comments to pick up when I was talking about Doom clones. Completely unaware of this, and also speaking to arcade games and DLC games that are gone. I believe these were DLC only games, and that is the Serious Sam collection. Now there's 4 games on this. There's Serious Sam 1, 2, 3, and then a super secret 2D version of Serious Sam that you cannot get anywhere else. At least that's what the comments said, and I can confirm that that game is in here. Now, these are all Doom clones. I played through every single one of them. Serious Sam 1, you're on it's like an Egyptian setting. So instead of being an underworld hellscape, it's more of a Egyptian type thing where you're going through pyramids, going through sandy environments and taking things out. Other than that, the second game adds a little bit of nuance with some disparity of the weapons you can do. And then the third game was a lot different. So each one kind of improves upon the last. The third game's getting a little bit more Call of Duty-esque. And I gotta say, not Call of Duty, but still a little bit more active. And I think it got better style-wise, but I think I appreciated the first game more than I did on the last one. And then the 2D game is like a flash animation game. It is not great, but it is fun to see them all tied together with the same villains, the same mechanics. So like you have the guys that will run forward and blow themselves up in the 2D game, just like they'll do it in the 3D game. So if you're a big fan of the series, it's a good collection to have. These were all downloadable only content games, like our Xbox arcade games, and I just love having physically. I mean, that's why Cubed was nice too. Having this stuff physically is always very desirable. Alright, then the last game we're going to talk about today that was a new one we haven't spoken about before is a game that, you know, I love Rockstar games, and somehow this is the one that slipped me, and it wasn't even like I wasn't aware of it. I think I just gone to college, and the subject matter seemed a little too close to home, or because I had just played 3 GTAs in a row, I wanted a break. That game is Bully, and this is Bully, the Scholarship Edition. And from what I've read, the Scholarship Edition doesn't really change all that much, other than some updated graphics, and I think there's a couple of new things put in as far as customization. But I gotta tell you, just playing the game for the little amount I did, the fact that you are it's kind of the opposite of Leisure Suit Larry. Being in an open world environment where you're going around and you can just start punching kids and wedging them and doing all this and just being an absolute terror was dumb fun. I gotta say, it was really dumb fun being able to do that. And then obviously the prefects will go after you and you can beat them up. And then if any of the adults come up, that's kind of the insta-kill. That's the police, where you can't really fight against them. So it's Rockstar when Rockstar was being just on the peak of their game. And I gotta tell you, this one was the first one I played of all of these when I was getting another 10 to talk about. And it was the hardest to put down because I immediately was like, yep. Yeah, I made a mistake waiting on this one because I loved LA Noire, I love GTA, I love Red Dead Redemption, and Bully being in that style of game that I enjoy in another venue, I want to play it. I want to check it out. I want to see what it's like. And I can understand why people are always like, when are we getting another Bully? They've remastered the damn thing to hell and back. I think you can even get the Scholarship Edition on the Switch. But just another one to keep your eye out for. That one is a little bit more collectible on the 360 than, say, on anything else. I think that one is like $20, $25. But yeah, well worth it. And real quickly, a bonus. So I was just watching a Legally Insane Gamer video earlier today who was doing a bonus 360 episode, and he mentioned a game that I mentioned a long time ago that I just randomly found at a game store and thought, that's strange. I'd never even heard of that game. And I looked it up on eBay and couldn't find any copies. And I thought, yeah, I need to get that. I need to get that because I like the show. And that is the Prison Break game. Apparently, this game has been going up in value a lot lately. So when I got it, it was like a $10, $15 game. At least that's what it said. Though you really couldn't find it anywhere for less than $20, $30. And now it's going up into like that 50, 60 stratosphere. I mean, my copy doesn't even have a damn manual. So I'm going to be kicking myself about that. But I loved the show, and this is just a retelling of the show, but from a third person, like from as if there was someone else in the show that just somehow was never there, but viewed important events and somehow was involved in it. And just, yeah, when I covered it, I didn't think it was great by any means. And I think people are covering it, you know, maybe they're being a little hyperbolic saying it's phenomenal, but it was good. I'm not gonna lie, it was an entertaining game, and it does keep things faithful to the show, and it has all the damn people from the show too, which is cool, other than Sarah Tancredi. So yeah, just want to throw that out there. That is one, if you haven't picked it up, you can find that one. Seems like the cat is out on that one, and it is very, very hard to find. Like I said it back then, it was hard to find, and now that people are looking for it, look out. Alright, well there you go, guys. There is another gaggle of games that you should go out and buy immediately before the prices continue to go up. Thank you again, guys. Thank you always for being here, for allowing me to do these videos, for sticking with the videos, even when it's on a console you don't have, donating to the channel, all the nice comments, all the mean comments. Yeah, I see those too, and I have to resist. I have to resist responding to those because, yes. Also, I had someone ask for timestamps in the videos, and I did try that on the last week's video and the one before that. Let me know if you enjoy that. Ironically, last week's video did worse than the previous two without timestamps. So obviously, I'm factoring in stuff like that. Whatever, but I get it. I get it, guys. But anyways, just thank you all again. We've been having so much growth lately. I just don't know what to do with it, and I'm just so grateful for all of you. Thank you, guys. I'm going to keep saying thank you, guys, too, for the well wishes with the passing of my poor beloved cat last month. Still means a lot. You know, I know it doesn't get easier, but it does start to hurt less. And, you know, to the people who, once again, going through the same thing, my heart goes out to you as well, guys. I love every one of you. Thank you all much. Thank you for being here. As a reminder, I release a new video every Tuesday. It's been so nice getting a hold of you. Take care.